It was a cold and quiet night. The streets were empty. Only the wind moved through the trees, and the stars above were shining like tiny eyes watching from the sky. Alex was walking home after his long night shift, tired and lost in his own thoughts. He did not notice anything strange until the sky above him suddenly turned blue for one second. A flash, so bright and silent, lit up everything around him and then vanished, as if it never happened. Alex stopped and looked up. His heart beat a little faster. He waited, thinking it might be lightning or maybe a plane, but the sky was clear. No clouds, no sound, only the moon and stars above. Then he heard it, a low crash, somewhere far but not too far, like something heavy falling into the forest nearby. His curiosity woke up, stronger than his fear. He changed his path and walked toward the woods, each step making leaves crunch under his boots. The air felt different, colder, heavier, like the forest was holding its breath. He moved carefully through the trees, following the direction of the sound, and soon he saw something that made him freeze. A soft silver glow between the trees, not fire, not flashlight, something else, something alive. Alex walked closer, slowly, and then he saw her. She was on the ground, her skin pale but shining slightly in the dark, her eyes closed, her clothes torn, and her body shaking gently. She looked like a girl, maybe a bit older than him, but not human. Her eyes opened slowly, silver eyes that looked right into his. And his heart skipped a beat. She tried to speak, her voice weak but clear. "I want you to be my master," she said, her words slow and broken, like she had learned English from old books. Alex blinked, confused, unsure if he heard her right. He stepped back, thinking maybe this was a dream or some strange trick, but then she crawled closer and whispered, "You're not a property," she said, her voice lower now, almost shaking. "But they will come. They always come, please. Don't let them take me." Alex felt something shift inside him. Fear, confusion, protectiveness. He did not understand what she meant, but she looked so scared, so tired, and so real. He looked around. The forest was quiet, but now he could hear a soft sound in the distance, like metal wings cutting air, slow and steady, getting closer. "What's going on?" he asked her, but she only looked at him with those silver eyes and said again, "Please, hide me. If they find me, they will take you too." She held something in her hand, a small round device with red lights blinking fast, like a countdown, and suddenly it beeped once, loud and sharp. Alex grabbed her hand. "Come with me," he said quickly, not knowing why he trusted her, not knowing anything, but feeling that she was in danger, and maybe now. He was too. They moved through the trees fast, Alex helping her walk, her legs weak but her eyes alert, always looking up, always listening. Behind them, in the dark forest, a blue light started to grow, cold and silent, moving between trees like a ghost at the edge of the forest. Alex's small house stood quiet, lights off, no sign of life. They rushed inside, and as the door closed behind them, the forest outside turned silent again. Alex helped her sit on the couch, breathing hard, still not believing what just happened. He looked at her, really looked at her now. Her skin had a soft silver glow, and around her neck, hidden under her collar, was a strange glowing mark, like a tattoo but moving slowly like it was alive. "What are you?" he asked, almost whispering, and she looked at him with sadness. "I was made to serve," she said, "but I ran away. I don't want to be property. Not anymore." Then the red device in her hand beeped again, this time softer from the window. Something moved in the sky, a shadow passing over the trees, a drone, quiet and deadly. Searching, Alex stepped back from the window, heart pounding. He knew this was no ordinary night anymore. He turned to ask her something, but she was already looking at him. "I chose you," she said, "because you are different. Your world is free." "But not for long. They are coming here now." Alex's hands shook, not because he was scared, but because he understood something deep. This was not about helping a stranger anymore. This was the beginning of something much bigger outside the house. The drone floated near the trees, its red eye glowing inside. Alex and the alien girl looked at each other, caught in silence, in fear, and in something new. The light outside blinked once, and then vanished into the sky, but it would return, and when it did, nothing would be the same again. The night felt longer than ever before, as silence wrapped the small house like a cold blanket. While the wind outside whispered secrets only the stars could hear, and Alex sat in the corner staring at the strange girl now resting on his couch, breathing slowly, her skin glowing faintly in the dim light. He still could not understand why he brought her home or why he trusted her, but something deep inside told him this was no accident. It felt like the beginning of something he was supposed to be part of, even if he had no idea what it was. Her eyes opened slowly and met his again, soft silver like moonlight, touching still water, and she spoke gently like her words were made of glass that could break with one wrong sound. "You are kind," she said. "Kindness is rare where I come from." Alex wanted to ask questions, hundreds of questions, but the only one that came out of his mouth was, "Who are you?" She sat up slowly, her hands resting on her lap as if they were trained to stay still. She looked at the window, then back at him, and said, "My name is Lyra. I was not born, I was created." Alex felt a chill crawl up his back. Her words were simple, but heavy, like they carried more pain than she was showing. Lyra touched the side of her neck gently, and something strange happened. The skin shimmered and then shifted like a curtain being pulled back, and there it was, a glowing symbol pulsing with soft red light, moving like liquid metal trapped under glass. It looked alive and angry. Alex stepped closer, not in fear, but in curiosity. "What is that?" he asked quietly. "This is my mark," Lyra replied. "It means I am property. It means I belong to someone else, but I escaped. I should not have, but I did." She looked down, ashamed not of what she did, but of what was done to her. "I was made to serve, made to obey. I was trained in silence and fear. I learned every language. I was taught to smile, even when I was hurt. I was told my thoughts were not real, that I should never want anything for myself." She said, her voice still soft, but now with something stronger under it. Alex sat down across from her and asked carefully, "How did you escape?" Lyra hesitated, then pulled a small black cube from the cloth wrapped around her wrist. It had cracks on one side and a faint blue glow in the center. "This is a command blocker. It was made in secret by one of my trainers. He believed we should be free. He gave this to me and told me to run, told me Earth was a place where freedom is real." Alex took the cube, gently feeling its strange warmth, like it knew it had been touched by someone human. "But they are coming," Lyra continued. "They don't allow escapes. They track every mark, every heartbeat, every thought. If they find me here, they won't just take me, they will erase this place completely." Alex looked out the window, but saw nothing, only trees moving in the wind. But now he knew eyes could be hidden in shadows, and danger could wear silence like armor. "Why me?" he asked. "Why did you choose me from everyone else?" Lyra leaned forward, her eyes searching his face like she was looking for something buried deep. "Because your world is still innocent," she said. "Not perfect, but still fighting, still dreaming. You looked at me like I was real, not like a machine, not like a toy, and that is rare, very rare." Her words made something inside Alex stir, a feeling he could not name, but it burned like fire under his skin. Not fear, not love, something else, something bigger. Outside, a bird flew across the window, and both of them jumped slightly. The moment had made them forget the world was still moving. Lyra looked at the mark on her neck again and whispered, "This thing is not just a symbol, it is a signal. It tells them where I am, but also tells them who owns me if we don't remove it. Soon it will call them here." Alex stood up quickly, thinking, searching, trying to remember anything that could help. "How do we remove it?" he asked. Lyra looked away, her voice lower now. "Only a master key can break the mark. Only someone with high command clearance can deactivate it. And that device is hidden far from here, guarded and locked behind 10 layers of defense. I stole the blocker, but not the key. Without it, I am still theirs." Alex walked to the table and picked up the cube again, feeling its weight, feeling how real this was. "I don't care who made you," he said. You're not property, not here, not with me." Lyra looked up slowly as if those words were new to her, like she had never heard them before, and a small smile appeared on her face. The first smile that did not look practiced. A small light blinked on the red device from before, one slow blink every 10 seconds. "They are looking," she said quietly. "And we don't have much time." The house was quiet again, but the silence now felt full, like something was about to happen, and Alex knew he had made a choice without even realizing. I would not let them take her. He would not let her go back to being a thing. Mark on her neck still glowed, but for the first time she looked stronger than it. There are moments when the world changes without making a sound, when something invisible shifts the air and everything feels new and dangerous, and that was exactly how Alex felt now as he stood in his own kitchen, holding a device not from Earth, listening to a girl not from this world tell him the truth about the stars above. Red lights from the strange machine blinked like a silent countdown, and the wind outside carried a whisper that sounded almost like breathing, as if the night itself was watching and waiting for a decision. Lyra sat at the edge of the table, her silver eyes fixed on the cube in Alex's hand, her fingers twitching slightly like she wanted to grab it and crush it, but she knew it was her only protection. For now Alex spoke slowly, his voice steady but low. "Tell me everything about the master key. Where is it? What does it look like? Why do they fear it?" Lyra leaned back and closed her eyes for a second, as if pulling memories from deep inside her. Mind memories buried under fear and pain. The master key is not just a tool, it is a command breaker, a device made long ago by the ones who first built the system of control. It can shut down every mark on every slave across galaxies. It can rewrite the very idea of ownership. It was locked away by the High Lords who feared rebellion. They buried it in a vault inside a moving fortress far from here, protected by weapons and lies. Alex felt the cube in his hand pulse once, like it heard the words and understood its role in something bigger than both of them. He asked her why it reacted to him, why the lights blinked when he touched it. And Lyra looked at him with confusion and something close to wonder. "I don't know," she said. "It should only react to those with encoded blood, to those who were part of the system long ago. But you are from Earth. Your people were never slaves or masters. Your kind was never supposed to know about us." Alex frowned, trying to remember something, anything that could explain this strange connection, but all he had were questions and a strange warmth in his chest that would not go away since the moment he met her. Lyra reached forward and took his hand, gently placing the cube between both their palms, and the moment their skin touched, the cube turned bright blue and began to hum softly, a sound like a heartbeat inside a machine. "It's choosing you," she whispered. "I don't know why, but it is you who must find the key. Maybe you are the last piece. Maybe Earth was never as far as they thought. Maybe your blood remembers something forgotten." Alex looked at her and saw no lies in her eyes, only fear and hope and something else. Something like faith. The wind outside grew stronger, and the trees began to bend as if bowing to something in the sky above, and Alex felt a shiver crawl down his spine. Suddenly, the lights flickered in the house, and the cube turned red again. Lyra grabbed it quickly and hid it under her sleeve. "They are scanning," she said fast. "They send pulses through space, looking for energy signatures, anything that doesn't belong. They are searching for the cube from me, for you now." Alex stood and moved to the window. The sky was still dark, but something large moved across the stars like a shadow, with wings not flying but floating, silent and cold. He turned back to Lyra and said, "We need to leave. We can't stay here. They'll find us sooner or later." Lyra nodded slowly, then stood up, her legs stronger than before, her eyes calm but sharp. "There is a place in the north," she said. "Old ruins hidden in ice. One of the rebels who helped design the blocker left clues. They're a map to the vault where the master key is kept. If we find the vault, we find the key. And if we find the key, we end this." Alex did not ask how she knew or why he should follow her. He just knew he would. His life before this moment now felt small, like pages from another book, and he could not go back. He packed A small bag grabbed a jacket and checked the cube one last time. It glowed soft blue, as if it trusted him more than he trusted himself. They left the house. The night held its breath again, and the stars above seemed to watch in silence. Behind them, deep in the trees, a machine landed without sound, tall and thin, with red eyes scanning the air. It smelled the past and tasted the future, and it began to walk toward the place where the light had once been. Alex and Lyra ran through the dark road, not looking back, not speaking, only moving forward, like two pieces of a story still being written somewhere. Far above, the stars shifted ever so slightly, and in a cold room across the galaxy, a screen blinked to life, showing two small figures on Earth, and a voice spoke without emotion. The human has touched the cube. Initiate protocol signal. The collectors send the hunters now. Asterisk. Not all stars are quiet, and not all silence means peace. Sometimes silence is a warning, a sound that has not yet arrived. And on this night, Earth was holding its breath as something cold and cruel crossed its sky, unseen by most, untouched by mercy. Alex and Lyra moved quickly through the back roads, the city lights far behind them, the trees growing thicker. As the road turned into gravel, then into nothing but dirt and frost, their breath formed clouds in the air, and every step forward felt like a step deeper into something that could not be undone. Lyra walked in front, her silver eyes scanning the dark, her hand gripping the edge of her sleeve where the cube pulsed with soft light, and the mark on her neck dimmed with every mile they left behind. Alex followed close behind, tired but focused, his mind filled with questions, but his mouth silent. He knew now was not the time for stories. Now was the time to run, and maybe later to fight. Above them, a ship without wings moved across the clouds, slow like a predator that knows its prey is already tired. It did not make sound, and it did not need to. Its eyes saw everything, and its hunger was not for food, but for control. Inside that ship, the hunters were waking up, tall and cold, with skin like armor and eyes that burned. Without flame they were not born. They were built for one task, and one task only: to bring back what belonged to the system and punish those who dared run. One of them stared at the screen where two heat signals blinked across a forest line. The female was marked and tagged. The male was unlisted, unknown, untested, and therefore dangerous. The order came like a whisper through the ship, and they moved not with anger, not with hate, but with purpose, like shadows who never needed names. On Earth, Lyra stopped walking and touched the frozen ground, her fingers glowing faintly blue, then turning dull. She looked at Alex and said, "They are near now, maybe above us, maybe behind us. I don't know how many, but they never come alone." Alex looked around and saw nothing but trees and wind, but he trusted her more than his eyes now, and he pulled out the cube from his pocket. It hummed louder than before and blinked 3 times fast, then once slow. "What does it mean?" he asked, and Lyra answered quietly, "They are watching, and they are marking our path. This device is not just ours anymore, it is now part of their hunt." Alex wanted to run faster, but Lyra shook her head and pointed left through the trees. "There is a bunker not far, hidden in the roots of the old forest. It was built by early rebels. Long before me, they used it to hide and send messages across stars. It's dead now, but we can use it if we reach it before they reach us." They ran together through the cold, the trees clawing at their clothes, the night growing darker, as if hiding them from above, or maybe hiding something worse below. Behind them, a branch snapped, then another, then silence again, and Alex knew they were no longer alone. Suddenly a light burst behind them, white and sharp, cutting through the trees like a blade. A voice followed it, not loud, but deep like thunder held in a cage. "Surrender the marked one and walk away, human. This is not your concern." Alex grabbed Lyra's hand and pulled her down behind a fallen tree, their hearts pounding, their breath shaking. "I'm not leaving you," he whispered, and Lyra looked at him with something between fear and pride. A figure stepped into the clearing, tall, with black skin that moved like metal and red, eyes glowing like small suns, its arms long, its hands ending in silver claws, and its chest marked with the symbol Lyra once wore. Another voice came from the trees on the right, then another on the left. They were surrounded. 3 Hunters may be more silent and still as statues waiting for the human. To make a mistake, Lyra stood slowly, her hands raised not in fear, but in defiance. She took one step forward and said, "I am not your slave anymore. I carry no orders. I wear no chains. You cannot take what no longer belongs to you." The hunter in the center tilted its head slowly and replied, "You belong to the system. You belong to the order. Your voice is a signal. Your body is a tool. Your rebellion is an error." Alex stepped beside her, holding the cube high in the air, and for a second, the sky itself seemed to respond. The clouds above twisted and cracked as if something greater was watching. "You said I was not part of this," Alex shouted. "But now I am, and I'm not afraid of machines who hide behind silence." The cube pulsed. Once then exploded in blue light, not in violence, but in command, sending out a wave that pushed the hunters back, just enough to create a moment. "Run," Lyra said, and they ran again through the trees into the cold, into the unknown, chased not by men but by machines who remembered every voice, every scent, every heartbeat. And as they vanished into the night, the lead hunter looked up at the sky and sent a signal far into the black void. "The human is connected. The cube has responded. Escalation authorized. Send the second wave. Prepare for capture by any means." Some voices never speak and some pain never screams. It hides deep in silence, behind the eyes of those who have seen too much and said too little, and that was the silence Alex heard now as he and Lyra stood in the middle of a forgotten world, buried in ice and time, where old machines rested like bones and old wounds never healed. They had run far north, past cities and towns, past wires and roads, until even the satellites could not see them anymore. They moved through frozen valleys and mountains, without names, following the broken signal of the cube, a soft blue light blinking like a heartbeat lost in frost. The cold bit into Alex's skin and the snow swallowed their steps, but Lyra walked like she had walked this path before, like her memory belonged to someone who once lived in this ruin before escape became survival. At last they reached it, a metal door buried in stone, hidden behind thick white walls. It looked like part of the mountain, but it was not. It was older and colder than anything built by human hands. Lyra placed her palm against the ice and whispered something in her own language, soft and hollow, and the metal groaned like it remembered her, then opened slowly as if waking from a long sad sleep. They stepped inside, the dark swallowing them, but the cube began to glow again, showing broken walls, scattered screens, and markings on the steel in languages Alex could not read, symbols burned into the walls like warnings or maybe prayers. This was a haven once, Lyra said, her voice echoing through the hollow bunker. "A place for those like me who broke free, who wanted more than orders and cages. We called ourselves the Unchained, but they called us broken." Alex moved carefully, his eyes searching the shadows, and then he saw them, outlines of bodies, not alive, not whole, frozen in sitting positions, some against the walls, some near shattered tools, their faces peaceful but tired. "They died waiting," Lyra said, kneeling beside one of them, "waiting for the signal, waiting for a leader, waiting for someone brave enough to do what we could not." Alex knelt beside her, not speaking, only listening and watching, and trying to understand the weight of the world she carried in her voice. "They tried to build another key," she continued, "a small one just for this bunker to free those inside. But it never worked. The system was too strong, and their time ran out before their will did." She stood slowly and walked to a control panel covered in frost. Her fingers brushed over the surface, and the screen blinked once, then twice, then came to life. A message played. A face appeared, human, but old and scarred, his eyes tired but full of fire. "If you are seeing this," the man said, "then someone made it here, which means the story is not over. We failed to change the system, but we left behind the map to the original key, guarded inside the black vault far from this place, hidden in a ghost ship orbiting the third moon of Myrix, and only one with the ancient code can enter." The screen went black and the silence returned, but the weight of those words stayed heavy in the air. Alex turned to Lyra and said, "Then that's where we go next." But before she could answer, a sound echoed through the bunker, not loud, but sharp metal against metal, a step of breath, something moving inside the dark. They both turned fast, Alex holding the cube like a shield, Lyra stepping between him and the noise, and then from the shadows stepped a figure tall and thin with wires around its arms, and a face that looked half machine, half human. Lyra froze, her lips parting but no words coming out, her eyes wide with something Alex had never seen before, not fear, not anger, something deeper. Figure stepped closer, then stopped, its voice crackled like broken glass. "You remember me, I see." Alex looked at Lyra, but she did not move, only stared as the figure spoke again. "I was like you once, full of dreams, full of hope. I ran, I fought. I bled for freedom, but the hunters caught me and gave me a choice: serve or disappear. I chose to serve, and they rebuilt me piece by piece until nothing real was left but this voice." Lyra took a step forward, her voice soft. "You were one of the first. Your name was Solon, you were a teacher." The figure nodded slowly. "I was, and now I am a warning to others who dream of escape. They call me Watcher now, and my task is to guard what remains and report what moves in the dark." Alex stepped forward beside Lyra and asked, "Will you report us?" The Watcher looked at both of them, then at the broken screens, the quiet bodies, the frozen dreams. "I was told to follow code, to obey protocol, but protocol never held warmth, and code never cried in the night. I see you now, and I remember myself, so I will give you one chance." He walked to a panel and placed his hand against it. The wall opened, revealing a glowing map etched in blue. Light lines crossing stars, names and languages Alex had never seen before, and in the center a red point pulsing. "There is your path," said the Watcher. "But once you take it, there will be no turning back. The key is protected by more than doors. It is protected by everything you are not ready to face." Alex looked at Lyra, and she nodded once, strong and sure. "We were never ready," she said, "but we are going anyway." And as the map faded into their skin, the Watcher turned away, whispering something too quiet to hear. Maybe a blessing, maybe a goodbye. Not all enemies come from outside, and not all knives are made of steel. Sometimes betrayal wears a familiar voice. Sometimes it hides in the warmth of friendship, and sometimes it waits until the sky turns soft with morning to show its true shape. The cold had faded a little, and the sun was rising slow and golden over the cracked ice plains as Alex and Lyra moved across the frost, following the path shown by the Watcher, their hands marked with the glowing map, their minds heavy with the memory of the broken ones who never made it this far. The air was quiet, but not peaceful. It was the kind of silence that listens, the kind that watches from behind every shadow and every cloud, like the world itself was holding a secret just beneath its breath. They were not alone anymore, that much was clear. Two others had joined them, survivors from the ruins, rebels who had once hidden in the stars and now returned to the snow. One was a tall woman with faded scars across her face. Her name was Sira, and she spoke little but moved with purpose. The other was a boy not much older than Alex, thin, fast, with sharp eyes and a quiet laugh. He called himself Drennan, claimed to know secret ways through the frozen valleys. Lyra had trusted them at once. Her eyes soft when she looked at them, like old memories were waking up inside her. But Alex kept his guard up, his heart not yet ready to believe that hope could walk so easily back into their lives. Still they traveled together, four voices in the wind, 4 steps toward the final door, where the key was said to sleep behind steel and silence. Above a dead moon drifting alone, they reached the edge of the frozen lake just before the sky turned orange, the sun stretching light across the ice like fire through glass, and Lyra paused, staring at the map on her hand, watching the lines shift and turn until one blinked 3 times, then vanished. "This is the place," she whispered. "Below this lake is the gate to the launch. The ghost ship waits in orbit above us, and only this signal can call it down." Sira walked to the edge and scanned the ice, her voice steady. "There's an entrance under here, a tunnel sealed with codes. We'll have to open it before sunrise or the signal will fade." Alex knelt by the surface and placed the cube on the ground. It blinked once, then again, then began to hum, but before it could finish its sequence, A sharp sound cracked the silence, a high whine like static slicing the air, and the cube turned. Red Lyra spun around, her eyes wide, and her voice full of alarm. "Something is jamming us. Someone is blocking the signal." That was when Dren laughed soft and strange and wrong, and pulled something from his coat, a black disc marked with the symbol of the hunters, cold and shining, and very alive. Alex stepped back, heart pounding, as Sierra pulled out a thin blade not meant for ice, but for flesh. Her voice, calm like it had always been, but now colder than the snow. "You were never meant to reach the key," she said. "You were meant to find it and lead us to it the moment you touched the cube. The system lit up with your name, and we followed your trail across the stars, waiting for the right moment to take it from you." Lyra stood frozen. Not in fear, but in disbelief. "You were rebels. You were like me." "No," Sierra said. "We were survivors. We made a deal. The system offered us freedom in exchange for you and the key. And now we collect what is owed." Dren threw the black disc at the ice, and it shattered the surface like thunder, a hole opening into darkness below, wires slithering upward like snakes reaching for the cube. For Lyra, for everything they had fought for, Alex grabbed the cube and turned to run, but one of the wires caught his leg, pulling hard and dragging him toward the hole. But Lyra moved fast, her hand glowing blue as she slammed it against the ground, sending a wave of light across the ice that snapped the wire in half. She pulled Alex back and whispered, "No more running." Alex looked at her, then at the traders, then at the hole that now led to the launch gate. And something inside him changed, not fear, not anger, something sharper, something louder. He stood and raised the cube high, the red light turning blue again, burning through the static and forcing the black disc to flicker and fail. "You want the key," he shouted. "Then come and take it." Sierra lunged, but Lyra met her mid-air, their bodies crashing into the snow, their hands locked in struggle, while Alex turned to Dren, who tried to escape. But the map burned brighter in Alex's palm, and a force hit Dren like a wall, throwing him back into the ice. The wind howled louder now, as if the sky was answering the call, and above them the clouds parted, revealing a shadow that moved without sound, a ship unlike anything built by human hands, descending slowly, silver wings open like arms ready to carry or to destroy. The ghost ship had arrived. Sierra broke free from Lyra and turned toward the light, trying to reach it, but the ice cracked under her feet and swallowed her scream whole. Dren crawled away, silent and broken, no longer laughing. Lyra stood beside Alex, her face bruised, her breath fast, but her eyes shining as the ship lowered to meet them. "You held on," she whispered, "even when everything broke around you." Alex nodded, once his voice low but steady. "So did you." And as the gate opened and the ramp touched the ice, they stepped forward together, not as master and slave, not as protector and passenger, but as something new. Some endings do not arrive with silence, and some victories are not loud. Sometimes they feel like breath returning to a tired chest, or like light touching skin that has forgotten warmth. And that was how it felt as Lyra and Alex stood at the entrance of the ship that had come not to take them away, but to test if they still knew how to walk forward when everything behind them had fallen apart. The ghost ship opened without sound, its silver ramp lowering onto the cracked ice as if offering a choice, not an order. Its design was smooth and ancient, built by hands that were long gone, shaped not for war, but for passage, for memory, for those who dared to break the chains of a forgotten empire. Alex stepped first, his boots landing on the surface like footsteps in history, his hand still holding the cube, now glowing blue with each beat of his heart. And Lyra followed, slow and steady, her eyes wide, not with fear, but with a kind of awe, as if her body remembered this place, even though her mind had never seen it. Inside the ship, the walls curved gently, lights pulsed along the floor, in soft waves, guiding them through silent corridors, filled with echoes that were not voices but thoughts. And as they walked deeper into the core of the vessel, the air changed, growing warmer, calmer, alive. They reached a chamber where time felt slower, a round room with a tall pillar in the center, covered in glowing lines and symbols that shifted when Alex moved closer, the cube in his hand humming louder, now almost singing in a language no human had ever spoken. "This is it." Lyra said, her voice barely a whisper. "The key is inside that pillar. It is waiting for you." Alex looked at her unsure. "Why me? I don't belong to any system. I'm not part of any code. I'm just a person who was walking home that night." Lyra stepped closer and gently touched his arm, her fingers soft, her voice firm. "You don't need to be chosen by them. You were chosen by the moment, by the choice you made when you could have walked away, but didn't they? Key doesn't respond to power or blood. It responds to truth and right. Now you are the most true thing in this place." Alex took a breath and placed the cube on the pillar, and for a second nothing happened. Then everything did. The pillar lit up and gold and blue symbols moved fast across its surface, and the floor beneath them began to glow, lines stretching out like roots of light, reaching across stars and systems, through satellites and networks, through space and time. Somewhere far away, the marks on the necks of 1,000 beings began to blink, and then to fade. The signals that once chained them lost their grip. The codes that defined ownership collapsed like broken glass. The hunters who still searched the ice felt it first. Their commands failed, their vision blurred, their purpose shattered. They dropped to the ground, not dead, but disconnected machines with no orders, voices with no speaker inside. The ship, the pillar opened, and from it rose a small object shaped like a crystal, but pulsing like a heart. The true master key, not made to control, but to end control. Alex reached for it, but Lyra stopped him, her hand trembling. "If you take it, everything changes, not just for me, not just for now, but forever. Are you ready for that?" Alex looked at her and saw in her eyes everything she had endured, the fear, the fight, the silence, the hope, and he nodded without speaking, took the key into his hand, and it pulsed once, then vanished into light, and the room dimmed, the walls quiet again, as if the ship had done what it came to do. Lyra fell to her knees, not in pain, but in something close to release. She touched her neck, and the mark was gone, not hidden, not faded, but gone as if it had never existed. She looked up at Alex, tears in her eyes, not from sadness, but from something stronger. "You did it," she said. "You really did it." Alex shook his head gently. "No," he said. "We did this together." They walked back through the ship slowly, now hand in hand, no longer running, no longer hiding. The stars above clearer than ever, the snow below untouched again. At the ramp they stopped, and Lyra turned to him, her voice soft but sure. "You're not my master, and I'm not your servant. We are more than what they tried to make us." Alex smiled at her and said the words he had carried since that first night. "You're not a slave anymore." And in the sky above, the last signal from the old system blinked once, then died, and across galaxies lights turned off, doors opened, and a quiet kind of freedom spread, like dawn over a world that had almost forgotten how to dream.